Trey, the defense had accused federal prosecutors of bias because most of the objections that they're permitted to make against prospective jurors were made against black jurors. The judge rejected that argument, but could that come back later in this case on appeal, for example?
It could, but probably not. The process for a voir dire, picking a jury, is pretty open, and there's a lot of room to pick a jury. And the parties or the attorneys will naturally start to say things very much in their favor. And it's just the judge's job to kind of stop that. So although it's noticeable, I don't think it would have much of an impact on appeal.
Trey, what are you listening for now in opening statements?
So each side is going to set the backdrop for their case. The prosecution is going to go pretty much paint an evil picture of Diddy. This wasn't a one event, two event. This was a lifestyle, a decades lifestyle of criminality, of forcing other people to do his pleasures, his sex at whim, and using his power, his fame, and his money. And they're going to have victims testify. They're going to have staffers testify. They're going to have other employees. They're going to have other people that may have been there, and they're going to try to paint this picture. On the other hand, the defense is going to be the opposite. Say, hey, this was, although it's a lavish lifestyle, it's a swinger lifestyle, there was nothing criminal about it. Everybody that showed up consented. Everybody that showed up knew what they were getting into, wanted to participate. There was nothing, about it. There's nothing to see here.
Rena, what are you watching for once the prosecution starts calling those witnesses Trey just mentioned?
Right, so we could start hearing from witnesses as early as today, shortly after opening statements wrap up. One of the first witnesses for the prosecution is expected to be an escort. Another early witness expected to take the stand is singer and Combs' ex-girlfriend that we just mentioned, Cassie Ventura. She is going to be key for the prosecution's case as she lays out her side of her relationship with Combs.
What's the defense's biggest challenge in this case?
It's going to be the Cassie Ventura video. That is a damning video. It's a horrific video. And anybody that watches that video is going to have a very negative taste about Diddy Combs. So what the defense has to do is they have to isolate that. They have to put it in a box, as I say. Their description is, hey, this was a fight that went wrong, went bad between two people in a relationship for over a decade. And it was about private things, i.e. maybe infidelity or something like that. This is far from any type of sex trafficking, from any type of RICO conspiracy. And jury, you need to understand that this was a fight that none of us like to see happen to this extent. But to say that it was part of a criminal enterprise is a far, far reach.
All right, Rena Roy, Tre Lovell, thank you both.